Hello to all viewers of my channel. Let's just jump right in with an idea that might flip everything you think you know about procrastination on its head. It's this: laziness is not the cause, it's the consequence. We've all been told that we put things off because we're lazy, right? But what if that's completely backwards? So today, we are diving deep into what I'm calling the procrastination paradox. We're going to pull apart this myth of laziness and really get to the bottom of what's happening in our brains when we avoid and delay things. Because it's not some deep character flaw, it's actually a kind of defense mechanism. And here's our game plan for today. First up, we're going to reframe procrastination as a fear response, not laziness. Then we'll look at the vicious loop that keeps us stuck and how perfectionism secretly fuels the whole thing. And then the good stuff. We'll get into how self-compassion can break the cycle and how you can turn all this insight into real-world action. Okay, let's start with what is probably the most important distinction we're going to make today. We tend to use the words procrastination and laziness like they're the same thing. But you know what? Psychologically, they are worlds apart. And getting this right is absolutely the first step to breaking free. Just take a look at the emotional state column on this slide. This right here, this tells you everything. A procrastinator is totally tangled up in high-stress internal conflict. You want to do the task, but you're just swamped with anxiety and guilt. Laziness, though, that's more like indifference, apathy. See, procrastination is an active choice to do something else, anything else, to dodge a bad feeling. Laziness is much more passive. It's just a lack of energy or will to get started. So here is the big aha moment. Procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. We're not actually trying to avoid the work itself. We're trying to avoid the nasty emotions we've accidentally attached to the work. You know, that fear, that self-doubt, that feeling of being overwhelmed. So how does this habit of avoiding our feelings turn into, well, a habit? It actually builds on itself, creating this self-perpetuating cycle. This is the exact mechanism that can take a one-time delay and spin it into a chronic pattern that starts to affect our work, our health, everything. And hey, if you feel like you're trapped in this loop, I want you to know you are so far from alone. Studies show that about 1 in 5 adults, that's 20%, sees themselves as a chronic procrastinator. This is not some personal failing, it's a really common part of being human. So this is exactly how that cycle traps us. It all starts when a task pops up and triggers fear. So to escape that feeling, we switch to something easy, right? We scroll our phones, we watch a video, and for a moment, we get this little hit of relief. But it doesn't last. Soon enough, guilt and stress creep back in, and now the original task feels even bigger, even scarier than before. All this does is reinforce the idea that the task is something to be feared, which makes us even more likely to avoid it the next time around. So what's the spark that ignites this whole crazy cycle? I mean, there are lots of triggers, but one of them stands out as maybe the most powerful and the most paralyzing driver of them all. This single thought, this is the anthem of the perfectionist procrastinator. It creates this impossible, all-or-nothing situation where the only acceptable outcome is absolute perfection, which makes the pressure to even start feel, well, completely unbearable. And perfectionism is kind of the root of so many of these other fears, you know? We look at a task like it's this giant mountain, and we feel like there's no way to climb it perfectly. We get totally overwhelmed by a complicated plan, or we're paralyzed by too many choices because we're terrified we'll pick the wrong one. In every single case, it just feels safer to not start at all than to try and fail to meet those impossible standards we've set for ourselves. Okay, so if the problem is really rooted in fear and self-criticism, then the solution can't possibly be more pressure and more discipline, right? The real answer is in fundamentally changing how we talk to ourselves. It's time to do a little brain rewiring, and the tool we're going to use is self-compassion. Just look at the difference here. It's pretty incredible. When you beat yourself up for procrastinating, you are literally activating your brain's threat system. You're going into fight or flight. This floods you with stress hormones and just paralyzes you, reinforcing that fear. But self-compassion, it does the exact opposite. It activates the brain's care system, creating a feeling of safety that actually lowers your stress and makes it psychologically possible to face a challenge and even to fail and try again. So how do you actually practice this? Well, try this super simple 1-minute break the next time you feel that anxiety starting to build. First, just acknowledge the feeling without judging it. Just say, okay, this is a moment of suffering. Second, remind yourself you are not alone in this feeling. And third, just offer yourself a simple act of kindness, like putting a hand over your heart. This isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about giving yourself the emotional safety you need to get back on the hook. All right, now that we've got the mindset part handled, we can start to pair that internal shift with some really solid, practical strategies. This is all about turning those insights into real, tangible action. Think of this as your personal action toolkit. The key to all of these is just lowering the barrier to getting started. For instance, eat that frog just means you do your most dreaded task first thing. Or try the 5-minute rule. Just tell yourself you only have to do it for 5 minutes. You'll be surprised how often your brain just wants to keep going. You can even make a little if-then plan, like if I feel the urge to check my phone, then I will take 3 deep breaths. These aren't just silly life hacks, they are tools designed to outsmart your brain's fear response. And please, if you take anything away from this, let it be this right here. This is your new mantra. Give yourself permission to be imperfect. The real goal is progress, not perfection. A task that's 80% done and actually exists is infinitely more valuable than a 100% perfect idea that's forever stuck inside your head. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Instead of looking at your procrastination as this enemy you have to defeat, try seeing it as data. It's a signal. What is it trying to tell you? Maybe that you're exhausted or that you're terrified of being judged? Answering that question for yourself, that is the real first step toward making a lasting change. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and give this explainer a like. And please, I'd love to hear what you want to learn about next. Suggest your topics for future videos in the comments below.